This is the biggest problem that is rampant across the entire sales industry. And we see it across every single client we work with. Most organizations do not have a pipeline problem.
This is such a massive shift in thinking that so many people still do not get. And once it clicked for me, everything in Outbound kind of started to make a lot more sense. Got to help with implementation, selection. That's the job. All right. We're back with another episode of Outbound Fluff, No Sales. We're going to talk about a predictive tool that I have to check. It might be 20, 30 years old. It still holds true in 2026 as a way to understand where your outbound market sits today in terms of their readiness to buy. We're also going to talk about the handoff, what an AE is supposed to do, what is an activated lead, and best practices that you can deploy already with your team today. I'm Ronen Pessar. With me is Ryan Reichert, who's got a little sniffle today. And we're the outbound operators. All right, Ryan, you ready to dive into this one?
Let's go. The biggest enemy we have across the board is, for some reason, there's like a decade of a sales generation that is completely against picking up the phone in the sales process. I mean, I talk about this all the time, and it's so funny because there's these two camps that you see on LinkedIn. Of course, it's a big ass echo chamber, but you've got the people that are hardcore phone, and you'll post things like, yeah, what people don't use the phone? That's wild. But then when you get into the marketplace and you stand up programs, which are just standard sales organizations, the phone is not used in a way that it blows my mind. It's all of this activity and push, 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 push. Like, let's go buy as much data as possible. Let's try to do this demand gen work. Let's do all this marketing. Let's create all
get
this demand.
meetings. Let's get meetings. A lot of meetings.
But even the folks that are inbound, like we're inbound, okay, but like if you get somebody interested, pick up the phone and call them back. You've had a sales presentation over Zoom, pick up the phone and call them back.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to someone today, CFO, CEO, and head of or VP of like go to market for a company that looks like they're likely to become a client, our 10th client, I think, or in the last like 9 months. And there was this exact moment you're talking about. The conversation went something like this. I was going over some of the numbers with them, with their CFO, to talk about like here's what we can accurately budget and forecast. Everything else is we're unsure about until we start doing it. So it's all projections, and projections are kind of useless. I was going over the numbers, and this thing came up, which I said to the client, and like, hey, so you're taking the opportunities right now, right? He goes, yeah. I mean, there's also someone else. There's this AE, Andrew, who's doing this. I was like, okay, great. So you guys are going to call people who are showing interest but weren't ready to book. Hey, whoa, I'm not making calls. Like, what do you mean? He's like, no, I want everything scheduled on my calendar. Like,
Correct.
Whoa. Let's pump the brakes here. Let's talk about a scenario right now. Let's get hyper specific. You just finished a scheduled interaction with a prospect. Now you're telling me between that completed scheduled interaction and the next touch point, if all of a sudden you don't hear from them, are you going to pick up the phone and call them and check in? No. Why would I do that? Why would you do that? That's called sales. What do you mean? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? I said, okay, what about this scenario? SDR in their first month, 2 months, they're still like not going to know all the answers, right? It's natural. They're going to have the script. They're going to start to learn some things deeper about the product, answer some more specific questions. They have someone on the line, someone you put on the list that you want to talk to, and we have them on the phone. We're conversing with them. That prospect says, this is kind of interesting. It's something we've been thinking about, but I need to know like how your pricing model works. I actually just went to your website. I'm not sure I completely understand it. I said to this guy, Tim, I was like, hey, what happens if that SDR says to the prospect, hey, you know what? Can my product expert, Andrew, call you back in 5 minutes? Are you going to be available if he calls you back? He goes, no. What do you mean? The SDR needs to book that. I go, okay. Riddle me this, Batman. If the prospect says to the SDR, I don't want to set a meeting, I just want the answer to the question, so shoot me an email when you know the answer. You're still going to tell me you only want the SDR continuing to say, yeah, but how about we book something on your calendar
Usually when I
Please.
send an email, it
Why
just
wouldn't you
goes to
just have
spam. It just goes
this?
to spam. So why don't we go ahead and schedule something out? Look, dude, I'm busy. This is what I'm telling you. This is the biggest problem that is rampant across the entire sales industry. And we see it across every single client we work with. Most organizations do not have a pipeline problem, especially folks that have been in business for quite some time. They're sitting on a gold mine. Their CRMs are full of potential opportunities that have expressed a level of interest that no one's following up with. And if they just work the stuff that's already raised their hand, been to their website, engaged with them in the past, but timing was
Yeah.
off. If they just worked that stuff, they would make it rain. I mean, look at what you do when you have time. With just our small business, we've been around for 9 months. What do? You don't go and cold call new businesses. You go, there's that's right. There's like 10 people that kind of fell off, haven't spoke with them. You go ring up the phones, and that's why like we bring in a deal every month, right? Like when we go in on board, you're going through the cycles, something goes a little stale. You go back to the old stuff, you call them back. And our database is not massive right now, but there's like gold just sitting in that small subset of what, like 100 people that have come and talked to us over the last 9 months, right?
Yep.
And you're knocking out, if you look at the math of fucking markets, the 10% that's like open to it and buying now. Like you're basically it's basic math, right? You're gonna talk to a bunch of
Yeah.
people. Some people are buying now, some people are open to it, some people aren't thinking about it. Of course, the stuff that's coming to us, it's more in that open to it, market already. But this is the thing that kills me inside the sales industry is they want to go and start doing outbound sales. And when you start doing outbound sales, you are not going to be getting people that are ready to come in and transact.
Yes.
You are
This is
going to be
yes.
educating your market, and
Tell him, Ryan.
you've got to get into this education-based marketing. This is why I've said this a few times in the past, but Chet Holmes would be rolling over it is rolling over in his grave, right? Like if Chet Holmes existed, he was still alive. Sorry, not existed. Unfortunately, we lost him to, I think, cancer in like
Yes.
2008 or something of
Although
that
his
nature.
his daughter still carries on
Yeah,
the
but
business that
but
is left.
but Chet Holmes was so far ahead of his times. If you go back and
Yes.
read The Ultimate Sales Machine, it's crazy because that book I think was published in early like right.
80s, I
No, it's
think.
not. No, it's not in the 80s. It's the 2000s.
90s?
No, it's the 2000s. It's like early 2000. But he was talking about the future of everything that is now social selling and what the like
Well, and
what
there's this.
well, the buyer's pyramid is from that time, but this concepts, the way he was talking about education-based marketing is essentially what we talk about with audience activation. It's getting your message to market, finding the people that are not really thinking about it, and driving awareness around problems that they may not know they even have yet,
Well, yeah,
or
let's
innovations and
decouple
things like
that
this.
because this is such a massive shift in thinking that so many people still do not get. And once it clicked for me, everything in outbound kind of started to make a lot more sense. The shift is this. In inbound, what you're doing is you're creating a way for the interested people to find you so that when their timing is right, which you never know, they find you when their timing is right. But what you don't have on inbound is your ability to segment who you're going to talk to. The best case scenario, you get really good at your targeting for your ads, and your ads go to people that you would believe are a good segment.
But here's the thing. Hold on a second. Advertising is outbound.
That's a good call. Well,
This
yeah,
is my but
targeted
no,
ads.
no. This is my point though.
Yeah, you're right.
Even inbound leads that come
Well,
in and
SEO,
add and
SEO, website visitors, form conversions, that's inbound.
SEO potentially. It depends on what they
Yeah, because
it
it's people
depends on what they
searching for
clicked on.
you.
There's obviously layers of how people discover
Sure.
your brand or service, and then once they get to your site. If we're talking about inbound only requests for demo, this is why it's important that you have to talk about this, right? Request for demo inbound is inbound if you want to talk about it that way. Like someone came to your site and is like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I want to talk to sales, I want a demonstration of your product. In that case, that's the 3% that are like actively exploring right now, right?
Yeah.
They're looking at a solution. But there's an entire database of
Yep.
people that have come in and they found your website. They start to click around, they explore, they found something interesting. Someone referred them to you. Hey, you guys, we have these conversations all the time. We had one this morning with one of our clients that's looking for technographics, and I referred the CMO to 3 different technographic providers. They're in the exploratory phase right now. She may not know request the demo? She might not. She may or may not. Now they're in market, but I just referred them over. She might be exploring right now. If your team doesn't pick up the phone and call them, you're going to miss out on this person who's literally potentially looking. You don't know yet. This is the
Yeah.
same thing as if it was an activation. It came up in conversation. That's interesting. I'm looking at some technographics. Is she ready to go take a demo yet? I don't know. But this is the problem with salespeople. If they don't schedule on the calendar, like, oh, I guess they're not ready to talk to us. Like, how do you know unless you talk to them?
And
And
this is the whole point. Is it all comes back to this is why you should be picking up the phone, making the calls, and this is why it's insane when people say that their sales people are not doing that, because you have this initial setup of all the people you could sell to. Of those people, only so many you're going to reach. Once you're ever going to reach the people, you're still not yet at the point where you're in a sales conversation. You're before that point. This was where the Chet Holmes buyer pyramid was so interesting, because the pyramid has remained very directionally accurate in predicting where your market is when you go to them in terms of their readiness to move forward with what you have right now. Very small, 2 to 3% are right now looking for what you do. Maybe the top 10%, 1 in 10 conversations in a perfect vacuum are even open to it. These are heavily competed for. This was Chet's point. His point was this is what is called red ocean. There's a lot of sharks, a lot of blood in the water. Great. We're going to talk to them. Maybe it'll turn into a fast moving qualified opportunity. Chet's point was go where the blue ocean is. Swim to the area where the sharks are not, the blue ocean strategy. The next level down, the group that is not thinking about it, a lot of the not nows, but maybe later, they understand what was messaged to them, what was in the pitch. The conversation hit something, but timing is off. These are phenomenal future opportunities. When you are able to have a conversation with someone and you identify that they're at this stage, this is all about follow-up. In those follow-up conversations, the second, third, fourth time I talk to them again, there's going to be somewhere between 1.5 and 3x increase in their activation conversion, meaning more of them will be ready the next time you talk to them.
or you're going to move them from not thinking about it to potentially open to it, because
Exactly.
this is the job of it is marketing and sales.
It's a
This
blend.
is
It's a blend.
it's a very
We
hard.
don't need a division, right? It's a blend between marketing and sales. It's top of funnel. It's pre-opportunity sales.
It's demand generation.
Sure. Demand
It's
generation.
what
I
you're
think of it
creating
more.
demand in the market. You're
Yeah.
creating demand in the market. And again, if a company is running ads, doing content syndication, going to events, and they call that inbound, they can call that inbound all they want, but not everybody that they engage with, they serve impressions to. They're either talking to advance, see people seeing ads, clicking through, going to a webinar. All this stuff. Not all those people are ready to buy right now, but your sales organization not reaching back out and talking to them and figuring out where the hell they're at, understanding again, if they are at an account that you want to do business with. This is the important part about this is why buckets is so powerful, right? Step one of buckets is look at the freaking account. Like you target companies, you sell to people. Look at the account first. Just because someone raised their hand inbound doesn't mean you should spend time with them. But if it is an account that you're like, wow, that's an account I really want to do business with, great, checks that box. Then I go to the
Yep.
people. Is this a person at that account that is going
Yep.
to have any sway in the touching the product, evaluating the product, or ultimately buying the product? I hate this word decision maker. Who gives a fuck about a
Mm.
decision maker when you're starting the first conversation? You're trying to gather information, build awareness, get to consensus, and build towards getting towards a future customer. And in business to business sales, it's never going to be one conversation. It's not one call close. And you have you have this whole market of salespeople that just sit there and like, if this person's not ready to like click the docu sign, like it's not worth my time. It's like if you're a salesperson in today's world and that's your mindset, you
Mm.
will be replaced by AI, right? This is Noah Goldman's book, The Binary Principle, right? Everything's going to a buy button. This is the future. And if you want to be a human in sales, like your job is to help with selection or help with implementation. Now, the future is going to be implementation. Like people are going to be able to transact and get things, and then it's going to be the winners are those who can actually make them successful in implementing those things. That's what we do. at Outbound Operators, right? We are sitting here working with folks that are trying to figure out this complex outbound B2B world that everyone's overcomplicated because of the sales acceleration industrial complex. You can go buy a million different tools. No one knows how to fucking enable them and put them together. That's what we do, right? We simplify that, we enable the systems. And that's why, Ronan, you can go and sell essentially like almost a half a million to sometimes over $1 million worth of product and labor to people in one transaction, where all these other tools struggle to do it because they're not able to help with implementation. That's what we are
Mm,
doing, right? That's our value in the value chain. That's why we'll be around for a while. Most people are sitting there saying, "Hey, you want to buy my shit? You want to buy my shit? You want to buy my shit? No, you're not worth my time." And that's you're not even helping with selection at that point.
exactly. You're not helping with selection. And let's bring it back all the way full circle. So you finally have the person at the target account in this top 10, maybe 3% in this range right now. And you're telling me you've identified this person. They're reachable by phone. There's been an established connection and conversation. As a salesperson, you can't call them back.
They won't.
When you
They make
think
every
about
excuse in
when
the world.
every
Every
excuse,
excuse.
I don't have time.
I sent
I'm
them an
too
email.
busy.
I sent them
Yeah,
an
I send
email.
them an email. Oh, I tried them once. They didn't pick up.
They're unresponsive.
It's like, oh my gosh, call them every day till they answer. They answered once, they'll answer again. If they're expecting the call back, call them back immediately. Don't let those ones go because those are the ones that are at the precipice of entering into a qualified opportunity for your product. They are in this zone. This percentage, by the way, this is a percentage of a percentage when you think about who's actually reachable by phone. So if I can only reach 20% of my workable addressable market, if I could
Yeah.
only reach 1 in 5 people, let's say, in a pretty normal case scenario, usually it's a little less, then to think, what is that 10% of that 20%? So if I have 100 workable contacts and I can only reach 20 of them, then I only have 2 people that are going to fit in there. That's 2 out of 100.
That's right. Which is
Not 10%, it's 2% out of 100.
That's right. Which is, by the way, like a reported stat with the percentage of MQLs that close. So organizations that it's like a HubSpot stat at some point. Organizations that pay attention to their data and work leads property, speed to lead, all this stuff. Like these are marketing benchmarks. It's like 2% of MQLs will close, which is right in line with that because those are the
There
ones
you
they can
go.
actually reach when they follow up. And the problem is like if you really put an individual, I think most people have been in this scenario. We all have so many priorities in today's digital environment. So much shit's coming at us all the time. There's so many different priorities. If you ask me right now, there are so many little things I need to do on my at the personal side of my life that's worth lots of money to people, right? We've got like a um, we're going to be like doing a remodel, not a remodel, but a landscaping thing, like our front yard or our backyard over the next year. Like I've reached out to a few different people, getting some quotes for,
Mm,
that kind of stuff. And, some concrete on the side of the house. We might be doing the backyard, landscaping, all this other stuff. And what will happen is like some of them on the B2C side, people are pretty aggressive, right? You fill out a form or something like that. They're on their shit. They'll call you, call you, call you, call you. They'll call you multiple times a day. In the B2B space, reps aren't as aggressive for some reason. You don't see that. But the point is, these guys that have done that, they have this like cadence where they'll try for a certain period of time, then they're just going to completely give up. But I'm busy. If I do have time, I'll pick up the phone and talk to somebody. And right now, I'm in this like exploratory phase. Those who stay on top of me and keep trying me and eventually get me are going to win a pretty big damn deal, right? It's probably going to be worth 6 figures worth of landscaping in my house. It's crazy. But the majority of B2B salespeople will look at that and be like, oh, that guy's unresponsive. Like, you're not reachable, like whatever, right? You're going to give up on the lead. Inbound, outbound doesn't really matter. If I'm a person that is qualified, an account I want to talk to, a person
mm,
that I know I want to be doing business with, it should be your responsibility as a salesperson to continue to follow up with that person until you get a response.
that's right.
It's it's crazy.
And and if there has to be some framing around it, then there's 2 ways to think about it. One is the logical side, one is the emotional side. On the logical side, when you combine your workable market with the subset of your reachable market, when you then realize that it's only like 1 to 2% of people that are ever initially added to a list are going to then also be people who are essentially ready in that top 10% open to what you do. They're an activated lead of some sort. Either they're going to want to take a meeting and demo, or they're going to at least be showing interest and a great candidate to have a full conversation on the phone with a sales rep. When you realize that it's maybe one or two out of every 100 added to a list, that's it, that are going to be both reachable and ready. The value of those being sourced. I mean, what our average typical SDR when things are locked in for our clients is creating about, what is it, like 4 of those to 6 of those a day?
Activations? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 4
If
to 6
everything's
a
locked
day.
in.
So that
If you're locked in, yeah.
compounds over time. That compounds. And that's the list. The meetings set and the not meeting set activated leads, those need to become the highest priority thing for an account executive who's not actively closing a deal.
Which, by the way, these reps have lots of white space in their calendar. They
That brings
have
me to the emotional side of it. Why aren't they doing it?
I have no idea. They complain about no shows. They complain about
No shows and activated lead.
and they also they complain about the quality of the leads that they're getting
That's the
from
whole point of the
marketing,
next conversation, right?
which is like if somebody didn't show up, go to this list, call the list, especially if it's generated from outbound. If a SDR on your team got somebody on the phone at an account that you really want to be doing business with, and they weren't able to convert them into some sort of scheduled interaction, going back to the conversation we had today, when you have white space on your calendar, you should go into your CRM, find that person, and call them yourself. You're a more qualified person to have that conversation. And regardless of what the outcome was, like go and have the next conversation, see where they're at, understand where they're at. If they're not interested now, that's great. Now you know that they pick up the phone and follow up. If you do this for an extended period of time, sales becomes so much easier. You know,
Mm-hmm.
in the very first role that I worked in selling pay per click back in 2008, I was at that company for almost 3 years. So the first year, first 9 months or so, I was the lead generation specialist, so SDR, and all I did was cold call. Then I was promoted into AE, and eventually I was the sales leader. But first 9 months sucked, right? Getting your teeth kicked in. We didn't have all these fancy tools, so it's like calling websites, getting names, trying to find the right people, booking meetings when I could, getting a pipeline built. By the second year, because I had all of those leads, my job was so much easier because I had all of these search marketing leaders, you know, CM managers and directors of digital and interactive marketing on my list now. And I knew they picked up the phone. And every time I didn't have a meeting, I go to that list and call, boom, pipeline's growing, right? It was so freaking easy. And by year 3, like anytime you need to do something, like my day was always demo, demo, demo. If I didn't have a demo, on the phone with someone. And
Yep.
it was incredibly easy. That was the last time I was in like a full like seat sales cycle for an extended period of time. From that point forward, every other company I've worked for, we're building pipeline and getting going. We get acquired, we got acquired, we got acquired. But when I look back at those days, if I was still at eSearch Vision to this day, we would have literally at this point a CRM with
Of just follow up.
every single pay-per-click leader in the market. They would be in our
Yeah.
CRM. We would know
Yeah.
exactly who picked up the phone, and our sales team would be on top of them because if they're not ready now, it's going to be at some point in the future. And they would be
Yeah.
hearing from us once a quarter. That's how you get to market dominance. That's how you get to market dominance. I don't know why companies don't do this. It kills me, but that's how
It's
we'll
because you
work
have to
our
think long.
process.
You have to think strategically. It's not a short-term win. Outbound is never about the first conversation that you're going to get now. It's about the fourth or fifth follow-up conversation when timing becomes right, when the prospect moves up the pyramid into that
Mhm.
top 10%. That's what it's about. Staying in front of them is check calls that you're educating them hopefully along the way so that you're the first thing in their mind when things do get to that point. And that's, like you said, you're growing your golden list, your follow-up list. And eventually, if you do this long enough, all of your reachable contacts will be reached. You'll have a full view of your reachable landscape, where they're all at, and you'll have your own Chet Holmes buyer pyramid for your organization where all the companies fall in that.
Every
All the
company,
data.
every person, every channel you can reach them on. And when you want to go reach them, you can reach them. If you do this in a professional way, you're not annoying. You listen to them. If they're busy, call them back, no problem. Eventually, you're going to get time. And when you get time to talk to them, the ones that are receptive, they're going to hear you out. They're going to give you the information you need to know. You're going to capture that information. And if you're not like desperate and thirsty and trying to shove something down their throat when they're not ready, that's when you miss out. But if you're like hearing them out, okay, it doesn't sound like this is a big priority now. No problem. Let me take some notes on it. Who you're working with? Why is this not a top priority? What other things are you working on? Can I actually get an idea of in a market? This is where salespeople really, really thrive. This is where they
Yep.
struggle with follow up, is they always think about themselves. But when you can understand the whole industry, one of the things that again, I used to do all the time. We did pay per click. So we would reach out to people like, we don't need paid ads. We're focused on SEO. So what did I do? I went and built relationships with SEO companies. Like, oh, you look for SEO? I know three or four of them. I can introduce you. I got some guys. They have some good work. And making introductions to other people that are a priority. And then guess what? When they come back around, you're somebody that they trust. And even if they don't come back to you, you're going to them like, hey, how'd that referral go? By the way, are you still thinking about search? No, not now. Into the future. And then eventually you're going to get a shot. You're going to get a shot if you do that. You become a trusted resource. I mean, we just had a conversation with a company that probably isn't ready for outbound. What did we do? We told them exactly what they needed to do. And we said, hey, go get this list. What did you get? You got an email today saying, hey, can we continue this conversation? How we can work with you? Hey, you guys aren't ready yet, right? You're not ready yet. Go solve this problem. But they trust us now because they're like, well, what is the next step? Okay, you want us to like refer you to the people to go? You need to go fix your list first, right? You got to do that. The more we build that out in our process, the easier it becomes. In year 2 and year 3, everybody who wants to figure out outbound, they're either going to come to us or guess what? When you have time on your calendar, you're going to go call those people back. Hey, did you fix the list yet? Right? That's what you would do. This is how it works. But
Yeah.
salespeople sit there and they just wait for it to come to them. And then when their schedule's clean or they have no shows, they just bitch and moan and they don't make the calls. And then they wonder why the average rep is sitting at like less than 50% of quota attainment. And by the way, are only in the seat for like less than 12 months these days. It's
You know
insane.
what it is? It's the ruralization of our sales reps. They've gone from hunters to farmers. There's a horrible trend and phenomenon where sales somehow has not become about the hunt. It's become, how do I become an order taker, a farmer? And like you said a while ago, if you are below the API, if you're more difficult than the buy button, you're going to be replaced by the buy button. And so end of the day, the take home message is really straightforward. When you identify as an organization, as a team, as a go to market motion, when you identify those activated leads, people in the top 10% of your buyer pyramid, the most important thing is to stay in front of them, continue to engage them. And the person who should be doing that has got to be the person who is best trained for that next conversation. Usually that is the sales rep. In some of
You
our
would hope.
cases, founding, executive who's doing sales. Maybe it's the head of sales, maybe it's the, AE. That's the person who should be doing it because they can now decide on that next cold call, which is a warmer conversation. Are you qualified to move into my pipeline, right into qualified opportunity, or is this not going to be a fit?
And by
So
the way, in today's market, like if you put yourself in the shoes of the prospect, they don't want to hear back from someone who all they can do in the conversation is schedule a meeting with somebody else.
that's right. That's right.
They want to hear from the expert who can actually start to help them, right? Like when you can call the person back and they're not ready, but you can ask that extra question about what are your other priorities,
It's
and
helpful.
I
It's
can be like, oh
helpful.
yeah, well I know somebody. You want me to make a referral here? Like
It's
this is
helpful
when you
to help
become
someone process a decision.
right.
You're the expert, right? So it's the sales rep, not the cold caller often. If the cold caller is an SDR, usually it's a salesperson whose job it is to do qualification, but because they also know what makes a good customer, they can take someone through the whole sales process. That's why the person who's best suited for it is going to typically be your account executive.
No doubt. I just think it's the last thing about hunter farmer concept, which I think it's distilled in a bad way here, is you have to, if you're the salesperson making these callbacks, realize that these calls are not all for just getting someone to buy right now. It's literally to understand the customer's current situation in the context of what it is that you offer to the market. Are they even in a position to be thinking about solving the problem that your product or service engages with, right? Do they give a shit
Yes,
about it right now? Is it a priority? If it will be in the future, you would want to continue to nurture that. If it's never going to be, then just take it off your list. But if there's somebody that you think you can do business with, continue to work with them until they're ready to have the conversation. It's not that hard. Again, I used this example recently with I was making calls for Call Blitz. We were on a live with the coaching session with the group, and I made a couple calls for Call Blitz. Got a guy. He's a CEO of a company. He's like, I don't have any salespeople right now, but I would love it if I had some people. Maybe your tool would be great when I have some sales reps. It's like, oh, so you're actually looking for people to call right now?
hmm.
I was like, "Are you looking for like reps to hire? Or were you open to like fractionals, whatever?" He's like, "I'd be willing to anyway." I was like, "Oh, you know what? I know some people." And I asked him a few questions. It was during coaching, so dropped it. immediately sent it to Connor, who was in there, and Connor calls him back literally right after that, engages in like a 15-minute call. Connor goes in and runs through a sales cycle as a fractional sales rep. That's exactly the type of situation where, guess what? That guy wasn't ready for call blitz, but he's ready to start thinking about doing outbound calling. If that ended up working for him and he ended up building a small team, then maybe at some point he'd want call blitz, right?
That's right.
Now,
That's right.
I didn't call him with the intention of let's go now. I wanted to understand his situation.
Yes.
I heard that, oh, he's not ready for me now, but what else are you working on? And I had a solution for him. Send it to him. At some point, if he ever built a sales team, that might be a lead for me. Now, that was such a small company, it's maybe not a good fit, but that's just an example of how a salesperson becomes an expert in an industry, has solutions around a problem that you solve and relationships that you can refer people to. That's what's missing in today's professional sales environment because again, you need help with selection or you need help with implementation. That's your job. Sometimes it's not your product or service that they need, and that's okay.
Got to help with implementation, selection. That's the job. Well, you guys heard it here first. Thanks for tuning in. If you're still with us, let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Loved it, hate it. We'd love to hear it. Doesn't matter either way, especially if you hate it. I'm Ronen Pessar. This is Ryan Reiser. We're the Outbound Operators, and we'll see you tomorrow.